Five, four, three, two, one. Welcome to another Golden Conversations. Thank you, everyone who is joining us on this live on Golden Designs for another Golden Conversations when we talk about matters that are of interest to our senior citizens. So, thank you for sharing your Tuesday evening with us. Please go right ahead and share this live with your friends, your neighbors, grand aunt, uncle, mama, papa, parents, godparents, grandparents, and the picnic them too. This is where matters of importance is for everyone, not only for older adults. On this evening's Golden Conversation, we'll be talking about recreational therapy for older adults, how this area of practice can help improve the lives of our senior citizens. To properly guide us on this discussion is the accomplished Dr. Sharon E. Mackenzie, who we are so grateful to have with us because she is streaming live. Give God thanks for technology. She is
Yes,
streaming live with us from the United States. Dr. Mackenzie, we are indeed humbled to have you on Golden Conversations.
I'm actually humbled to be invited to be on your on this program. So thank you.
You are indeed welcome. Mutual respect and love. Okay, viewers, let me tell you about our guest. Dr. Mackenzie is a recently retired faculty from Keene University in New Jersey. Did I pronounce that correctly, Dr. Mackenzie?
That yes, you did it perfect. Actually, it's
Wonderful.
Kane. It's Kane. I'm sorry, I
Cane.
just messed up.
Okay,
Kane.
like
Yes.
sugar cane.
Yes.
Okay, so she's a recently retired faculty from Keene University in New Jersey, where she taught in the recreation administration and recreational therapy degree programs. She obtained her PhD in education with an emphasis in therapeutic recreation and gerontology from the University of Minnesota. Dr. Mackenzie considers herself an applied researcher with a focus on activities based approaches to address the clinical and psychosocial needs of older adults with the goal of promoting optimal health and well being. Dr. Mackenzie is also not finished yet. She's also a certified therapeutic recreation specialist since 1993, and she holds certifications as a certified Alzheimer's disease and dementia care trainer, certified Alzheimer's practitioners, and a master certified health coach. Therefore, followers, viewers, and subscribers, our guest is fully experienced to talk to us about recreational therapy. Let's jump right into the discussion, Dr. Mackenzie. Distinguish for us what's the difference between recreational therapy and regular therapy.
Oh, okay. So I mean, with any therapy, there is your focus is on treatment, where you're using some type of intervention to impact on changes that you're making with someone in terms of the outcomes. So recreation therapy, excuse me,
Sure.
is a profession where we use activities, therapeutic activities. We use recreation activities, but we look at it from a more therapeutic perspective. And the whole idea is that we use activities to be able to help individuals with whatever goals that they're trying to achieve. They're trying to improve their functional health. It
Mhm.
might be that the person is having some psychological issues. So it's just using therapeutic activities or recreational activities, but we use it from a more therapeutic perspective, where we use that as the what we would say the vehicle or
Mhm.
the avenue, right, to get the person to the place that you're hoping to get them to. So really, recreation therapy, very, very systematic, right, in terms of the process of what we do. Um, it is, we, like a doctor or a nurse, we do assessments,
Mm.
um, to, see where the person, is at the moment. Um, we look at their strengths. We look at, the whether their specific needs that they may have at the time, right? And what the hope is that using recreational activities that are therapeutic in nature, that you're helping that person to achieve whatever goals it is that you're working on. So very outcomes based, um, as opposed to doing diversional activities, right?
Okay.
Where,
Okay.
yes, where someone might decide that they're going to do word puzzle, or you're going to watch a movie, um, and it's really just for your interest, right? A lot of times, in the earlier years, so recreational therapy as a profession really started in the 30s and 40s. Um,
Mm.
World War I, when the vets were coming back to the U.S., and there was a need to be able to help those veterans who were coming back and adjusting to society. So really using activities as a treatment modality. In addition to that, we work with various populations. So it can be children, it could be older adults, um, it could be that the person is in a rehabilitation setting. Um, in the nursing homes, particularly specifically if it's a subacute, which is like a short rehab unit.
Right.
We
Mm-hmm.
would work with individuals. And then in community, um, for individuals who may have developmental disabilities,
Challenges,
we
right?
have
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we have recreation therapists who specialize in that area and work with that population. The same for geriatrics. So either working in the nursing home or working in the community.
All right. So before we delve into the different types of recreational therapy, let
Mhm.
us get a little personal. Why did you choose recreational therapy as a career?
Wow. Really, I had my first career was dance. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in dance. And when I completed my program, I really was honestly looking for to go on and do dance therapy.
Okay.
And so I really accidentally bumped into this field because when I went to the university, it was Montclair State at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and met this wonderful woman who became my mentor, Dr. Carla Taborn. And she was also her first career was dance,
Okay.
and started doing recreation therapy, and really it really fit nicely because, again, with recreational therapy you're using all types of modalities, whatever will work and help that person to achieve whatever outcomes you're working on with them. So I can do dance, and actually when I first started as an undergraduate, because I did a second degree, um, I was volunteering in the nursing homes and actually
Mm-hmm.
came up with, before everyone else was doing wheelchair dance using
Okay.
scarves, like now it's popular. But
Mm-hmm.
in the early 90s, I was doing that. I was using my dance background and working with individuals who had dementia, and Alzheimer's disease. So that's really what got me started. And then in terms of the older population, I've just been very comfortable working with older adults. I grew up with older adults in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I was when we had to do practicums And I found it that I was more comfortable working with older adults as opposed to children or, other populations.
Okay, awesome. So, based on your background and experience in the United States, how could we as Jamaicans incorporate recreational therapy to assist our older population?
So, excuse me. So, with recreation therapy, if you are going to be specifically practicing as a recreational therapist, the training is a 4-year degree program, and you have to sit a national exam. And so you have individuals who are certified. I have quite a few people who have come to the United States, did a 4-year degree program, and then they go back to their, country. They sit the exam, so they're certified. Our certification comes out of the National Council for Therapeutic Recreation.
Mhm.
So one of the things, if you notice what I'm saying, I say recreation therapy and I say therapeutic recreation. So you'll hear that being used
Interchangeable. Okay.
interchangeably. Yes. Um, so most recreation therapists are certified. And again, because we're being trained on how to do formal assessments, how to identify the needs of individuals and be able to then come up with a plan or treatment for those individuals. I would say that for Jamaica, given
Mm-hmm.
that there are no, you don't have formal recreational therapy programs at the moment.
Right. Right.
Um, I actually have, I've had two students from Jamaica who graduated, and I'm hoping that they will come to Jamaica and actually start practicing. But I
Mhm.
think what will really be beneficial in Jamaica is the recognition and understanding that activities, whether if you're working with an older person, particularly in dementia and Alzheimer's disease, understanding that you can use any activity, right, as a therapeutic modality in the sense of um, not, I said not just diversional, but for instance, I'm at home with, my mom. She is having early stage dementia. Then I
Mhm.
will specifically, say, okay, we're going to do a crossword puzzle, and the goal is, that you're going to be able to, complete, um, like a certain percentage
Mhm.
of the puzzle. So just the recognition that any kind of recreational activities can be used to enhance somebody's memory. And again, when we say enhance, we might not be able to improve the person's memory, but we are using it as to increase their socialization. We're using it to, for an opportunity for them to be able to do um,
Motor skills.
practice, yes, their motor skills or their activities of daily living, or that they're, as their memory is decreasing, that maybe it is that that person used to work in a factory where they, not a fact. Well, I guess I'm not using Jamaica, but I'm thinking more for here, for the United States. Where their background, I might be able to do some kind of activity. So if I knew that my father, who has dementia, he was a
Mhm.
carpenter, right? So I can actually think of bringing some of the tools together and, maybe have that the individual assist, right, with, making something. So,
Mhm.
so it's purposeful activities that you are hoping to use with the person, right? As opposed to, like I said, just diversional. So anything around the house,
But
right?
it's important, Dr. Mackenzie, to inform our viewers that this is not idle work, because sometimes persons may think that doing a crossword puzzle, doing coloring, drawing, painting, that is just something that you do in your spare time, and it won't help you. But
Right.
it does, especially with a recreational therapist who puts together a particular method in
Right.
the execution of that activity, can really and truly help the
Mhm.
overall well-being of someone.
Yes. So, so I would, if I were to start working with someone, I would want to know what their past experience were. What did they do, as a career? What were some of their interests? Because maybe I can then pull on some of those experiences and incorporate it into their treatment, right, or working with them. And so for families, again, if you know that your loved one was really good at cooking, right? So your
Mm-hmm.
mom, she loved cooking.
That's a good
So,
one.
and you might not be able to she might not be able to remember to turn the stove off, or all of the steps. So what you can do is you could set things up, right, for that person, um, to assist them, right? So that way they're still doing the cooking. And I'm actually using this example because my mother is in that situation, right? And so my brother, when he's there with her, he sets things up, and then she cooks. She does the cooking. So so there are ways that we can empower, because a lot of times with dementia and Alzheimer's, the individual is recognizing that they are losing their memory, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so you want to make sure that there are positive experiences that they're having, right? So yeah, mom, you can still cook, right?
So
Um,
before we move on, Dr. Mackenzie, a side of your face is now off camera, so just
oh,
tilt your
sorry.
little bit,
Yeah, I do apologize. I'm
I
in my
think, to your left, or yes,
is that
awesome.
better?
Yes,
Okay.
much better. Thank you so much.
Hmm.
Right. So
Yeah.
to
So
get back into it, how can we then place a greater emphasis on recreational therapy, especially within communities, as we seek to help our senior citizens?
mhm, mhm. Um, so again, I think if, the community at large just needs to understand that any kind of activities that we do with our seniors, so for instance, I was checking to see what types of resources were available. So I know over the last couple of years that we've had more programs, specific to the geriatric population in Jamaica. But I don't necessarily know if there are actual senior centers, right, that gears to specifically to older adults.
Well,
Um,
we do have the National Council for Senior Citizens, and they have branches in each parish. And
okay.
then there are private organizations, for instance, the CCRP, that caters
Hmm.
to the community of senior citizens. There are church-led
Right.
organizations
And
too that
right.
cater to seniors. There is
Hmm.
also the Mona Aging and Wellness Center
Right.
at the
Right.
University of the West Indies that caters to the needs and affairs of our seniors. So there are a number of entities. So in Jamaica, we may not have what is called senior centers as
Right.
they are labeled in the United States.
Hmm.
Of
Hmm.
course, there's more need for
Hmm.
organization centers that caters primarily to the needs of our seniors. But the hope is that even through Golden Designs and this program, that there will be greater emphasis and even more organizations that come on board that will have institutions across Jamaica in every parish that caters, that somewhere that seniors can go, that caters to our seniors.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I just think, in general, that the there needs to be education, right? In terms of things that families and individuals can do, and even the young people being able to do activities and programs with older adults. Because again, therapeutic activities, you're using it to help the person enhance their independence. You're using it if that person is a little stressed and they need, some assistance with, relaxing. You know, a recreational therapist would look at doing meditation with that person or teaching them, breathing techniques. Um, if the person is having difficulty in terms of identifying things in the community that they can do, then, we try to match them or link them with whatever services. So you're saying that there are services that are available in the parish. How many, do the senior citizens actually tap into that? Do older persons actually tap into those resources? Right. So, um, as a recreation therapist, I would work with someone and, help them to identify resources are available and, help them in that way. So that way they can then make the choice, because that's the other important thing, is that we want to make sure that we're empowering individuals to make choices. So even if I am doing I've selected several activities based on the fact that I know that this person might be interested based on their past experience, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
provide opportunities where they can have choice. And again, I'm thinking specifically for dementia, right? Because sometimes we don't give them a choice, right?
Right.
Um, and so, you want to make sure that you're still helping that person, if they can, to be able to make decisions. So that's one of the important things that, in the practice of rec therapy. But again, because there is no formal recreational therapy programs in Jamaica, I think, again, there just needs to be more awareness
Mm-hmm.
about the value of activities, recreational activities, and how they can.
Right.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
seeing that this program is a part of increasing that awareness and education,
Yes.
maybe you can give us some examples as to how recreational therapy has improved the overall standard of living for older adults in the
Mhm,
United States of America. How are
mhm,
they using recreational therapy? I know you mentioned earlier that recreational therapy came about just after the World War,
mhm,
but
mhm.
in today's society, even in
Mhm.
2022, how is the government of the United States using recreational therapy to improve the lives of their senior citizens?
Well, believe it or not, like the occupational health, which is they usually, um, what do you forecast professions in terms of how professions are going to increase, and recreation therapy is one of those professions that they're predicting will continue to grow. And the
Mm,
reason being, particularly again, working with older persons. And again, because we know, you know,
yes, yes.
we're going to have more older adults,
Right, right,
right?
right.
Um, and
The
so,
life expectancy age is increasing. Yes,
right.
and the old
So,
adult population will outgrow the youth population.
the youth population. And so it is extremely important that you have professionals that are trained to work with this population, right? So, an example, during COVID, for instance, um, one of the things that we started doing, I started doing with my students, was to come up with actual programs online, right? Where you're still having an outcomes based idea. So let's say, again, you're helping the person to increase their socialization, right? So, and then you're still doing the formal assessment to see what interest the person might have, and then then that person would come up with actual activities. So, for instance, I had one young lady who developed these arts and craft types of activities. But again, the whole idea was around increasing socialization for the individuals who are going to participate. And so arts and craft was the modality, but she incorporated making sure that each participant would actually, in addition to making comments about whatever it is they're doing, but to be able to have conversations with the rest of the group, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's very focused and purposeful because that was the idea. The other thing, um, let's say the person had a stroke and they are getting rehabilitation from the physical therapist. They're meeting with their speech pathologist. They're getting physical therapy, maybe, and so all of those modalities are kind of focusing on the physical and the actual diagnosis from the stroke. The recreational therapist would come in and she would more think of the person's quality of life, right, and well-being.
Okay.
So, thinking about how can I enhance this person's the way they feel about themselves, because all they can think about right now is loss, right?
Right.
I can't do this, I can't do that. And
Mm-hmm.
so we
Mm-hmm.
come in and we look at what works, right? What it is that works for this individual, and then how can we, help them to increase that part of them that actually works, right?
Okay.
So maybe it is that I might need to do some leisure education with that individual, um, and teach them how to, well, basically we would modify an activity, right? So if the person had a stroke, they're not able, let's say they enjoyed doing playing chess and they were mostly right-handed. um, so I would then teach them and do whatever, working with the occupational therapist as well, to be able to adapt that activity so that they can do that with their left hand, right?
Okay. Wonderful.
Um, yeah. So it's really looking at how we can help that person to be able to still engage
Mm-hmm.
in the activities that they're interested in, um,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the disability, regardless of their medical condition.
Right.
Um,
Just want to remind our viewers that they can post their comments, their questions for us. We have a comment coming in from Patricia Reed Waugh, who is saying we can also pull on their hobbies for persons who are in need of improving their health. We can use their hobbies as a part of recreational therapy. And that is something that you explained, especially with your mom who loved cooking.
Yes, yeah, yep, yep. So you start again. Basically, that's why we do history, right? So that way you get a background of what this person really enjoyed. Um, so it's using whatever interest that we know that they have, and and working with that person to be able to use that to help them to get better. Um, Sometimes it is that the person is having issues around, coping, or adjusting to, let's say, retirement, right? Older
Mm-hmm.
person, they weren't, they stopped working. So then we look at, okay, how can you use all of your past experience and be able to do activities? Um, how can you connect with children in the community, right? And begin to do activities. In addition to that, sometimes we don't even think about a simple thing as taking a walk, right?
Mm.
Taking a walk can be therapeutic because you can be in a mindful state, right? Paying attention to the flowers, the herbs that's, as
The
you're
fresh
walking,
air.
right? The fresh air. Um,
Mhm.
you know, Instead of, thinking that, well, I live in this certain parish and I can't get to certain activities, but right outside your yard,
Mhm.
there are activities that you can
A
do.
trip to the beach, a trip to
A
the
trip,
river.
right. And the thing is that, with a family, with, the children, they can be a part of that. So,
Okay. I want us to segue our conversation now to dementia.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that is still very much trying to learn more about dementia.
Mm-hmm.
How can loved ones support their relatives who have been diagnosed with dementia?
So, especially in the early stages of dementia, it's really important to keep that person active, right? Um, you know, identify things that the person can do, and keep them engaged, because if that person is just sitting around and they're not stimulating their memory, they're not physically active, right? We know that the impact of exercise on memory. So it's important for that person to be walking and doing, stretches or whatever every day. Um, if you look at all of the various domains in terms of cognitive, physical, um, emotional, um, spiritual, all of those domains are important to that person who has dementia. So thinking of activities that you can do with the person in all of those various domains. So the simple thing is reading the Bible,
Mm.
right? Um, is going to help with that person's memory. Again, repetition. The other thing for dementia, it's important to kind of recognize that you have productive activities, you have leisure activities, you have self care activities, you have resting activities. So, in terms of self care, again, I said before, it's important to help that person to still stay independent, right? So, if they're instead of you doing something for them, I know a lot of times, as caregivers, we tend to want to do things for our loved ones, right?
Yeah.
But really
Because
identifying,
we see
well,
them
okay,
in pain.
right. Or we're getting impatient, right? But it's important to give them time. Let them do what they need to do, because again, you're honoring their independence, right? Um, as a person is progressing, again, are there things around the home that you can involve the person in, right? That you can do with them? They can still wash clothes, right? If that person was, they used to enjoy washing their clothes, they can still do those activities. That is therapeutic. That is therapeutic. Um,
But do it with
making
observation, of course.
I'm sorry, with observation.
Mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. As if you're talking about somebody who's progressing at the later stage, but with supervision. And that's why I said, even at home, you don't necessarily need to have a recreational therapist um, to help you to adapt how you do things. So, like I said, if we're going to bake, I'm going to have the spoon out, the flour, as I'm baking them, I'll say, Mom, what should go in now? So you're actually asking them
Involved.
to,
Mhm.
right, and being involved. That's productive activities that you're doing with the person. It's meaningful, right? It makes sense, as opposed to you just choosing an activity and saying, well, puzzles are good for you, so you should sit and do it, right? But maybe it might be more fun if we do the puzzle together, and have a discussion. I always say, to families as well, if you choose that I'm going to do a diversional activity such as watching a movie, right? Watching television. You can make it a meaningful and therapeutic experience by having a discussion after, right?
Mm.
With your loved one.
Their thoughts
Talking
can.
about the main character.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of such and such and such? Right? A diversional activity that I've now turned to be a little more meaningful and therapeutic. Right?
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So before we close, just tell us about Alzheimer's Jamaica.
Oh, so Alzheimer's Jamaica. We have been doing exciting things. We are, let me just pull up. So you can get us on Facebook. We have a website, and then also Twitter. Basically, Alzheimer's Jamaica, the whole goal and aim is to educate about dementia and Alzheimer's. It Our goal is to be able to help families who are dealing with, their loved one being diagnosed with dementia, or at least recognizing what symptoms and signs there are. Um, we try to be able to provide resources for them, so maybe linking them with doctors so that they can go and get diagnosed,
Mm.
or resources in their community. We also do outreach programs, so we do a lot of presentations in the community and churches, and in anywhere we're invited to speak. And again, just to educate about dementia and Alzheimer's, and then also on the Facebook and email, families can actually post questions if they're having, problems or issues. That information can be, they can post the information. So I can,
I think they're also on Instagram.
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
For the
Um,
for the younger relatives of persons with
right.
Alzheimer's who are into IG.
Yes.
Alzheimer's
So,
Jamaica is also on Instagram.
okay, yes. So if folks need information, they can go to info at alzheimersjamaica.com, and then
That's info at alzheimersjamaica.com.
.com, yes.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, .org, sorry.
Oh,
.org.
.org. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That is the
Um,
email address.
yes, that's the email address.
Mm-hmm.
And the telephone number is 876
Mm-hmm.
6370.
That's 876-881.
6370.
Six
But
three.
either, hmm
Mm-hmm.
so 876-881-6370.
Okay.
So families will, if they post on the Facebook, they will get,
Mm-hmm.
a response within 2 or 3 days from one of our staff. We are looking for volunteers. We're always looking
Mm-hmm.
for volunteers for events. We host a conference, usually in September of each year.
Mm-hmm.
So we're usually looking for volunteers. We also do caregiver support programs in various parishes,
Oh,
and
awesome.
yeah, so the whole idea is to encourage caregivers to come out, and be a part of a support group, so that they can hear what other caregivers are going through, and share information. So our goal really is to have support groups in every parish. Um, so just a lot. We have a lot of plans to be able to try to just start, offering more programs in Jamaica.
Wonderful. So before we close, any final thoughts that you'd like to leave with our viewers as it pertains to recreational therapy?
I think it's important that families just recognize that any activity that you do with your family member is going to help them enhance their quality of life, because it's important, overall, that we're able to live a life fully, right? And for if you don't have a recreation therapist, get involved. Go to the seniors, the programs that you said are offered in the parish. Reach out to Alzheimer's Jamaica. I know your program, you have promoted quite a few, educate information. Um, we are hoping that we will have recreational therapists. One of the things that I really see for Jamaica is the collaboration between social workers and recreation therapists.
Mm.
Um, because social workers are there, working with the person with their psychological and coping strategies and so on. And so it'd be really nice to have the relationship between the
The
two
practice,
disciplines.
the
Yeah,
practice and the caregiver.
and the caregivers, yes. So that's one of the things. But again, just know and understand that any kind of recreational activity that you do or activities that you can make it meaningful, right, with the person that you're doing it with.
And we
So I
can
think
make it meaningful by getting our older adults involved. We can
in
also ask them questions
yes, give
and we
them choice, right? And start with their strengths. Start with what works. Don't focus on what doesn't work,
mm,
because oftentimes that's what we do. So what's actually working? Well, mom is not able to remember, um, you know, uh, her maybe all the grandchildren's names,
mm-hmm.
right? But when the grandchildren come over, she is actively having conversations with them and so on. It works. Does it really matter that she doesn't remember their names? She's still experiencing what it feels like, right, to engage with her grandchildren. So focus on what works, focus on their strengths, and and I think that's a good start.
Focus on what works, focus on their strengths. Thank
Yes.
you so much, Dr. Mackenzie. Unfortunately,
You're
that is
welcome.
all the time we have on this edition of Golden Conversations. Thank you, Dr.
Okay.
Mackenzie, for sharing your knowledge and your expertise with us. It was a really lovely discussion this evening.
Thank you.
Viewers, you're welcome. Viewers, you know the rule, you know the drill. Please follow us on YouTube at Golden Designs, on Facebook at Senior Citizens Jamaica. We'll try to put the links in the description box. Follow us and subscribe as we have more talks, lives, and training classes coming up for our seniors. Thank you for another wonderful conversations. I am Shelly Thompson with Dr.
Mackenzie.
And we close up by saying, walk good, everyone.
Walk
Take
good.
care.
Okay.
Walk
Bye
good.
bye. Bye bye.
Bye bye.